do a hair flip, looking straight down at the new girl in town, fresh from the heights, and I make it feel nice. Just 'cause of me, I can do anything.
Hey, welcome to ShyftU Podcast. I'm your host, LaSonya Lopez.
And I am Latina Venice.
And today we have such a special treat for you guys. I am beyond honored to have Dr. Michelle Thomas, your relationship surgeon, who is an eight, not 5, 6, 7, but 8-time internationally best-selling author. She is a certified life relationship business coach, a motivational speaker, and she owns multiple businesses, y'all. For real. She serves individuals as well as businesses by precisely pinpointing what infecting their ability to achieve peace, prosperity, and profitability while placing them on a permanent path of success. This is all in alignment with ShyftU. Michelle often refers to her life as an unframeable degree, as she has leveraged her years of collective firsthand experiences to become the reputable author, motivational speaker, and coach she is today. And she is the proud founder and CEO of the Exceptional Woman Enterprise. Welcome, my love.
Thank you for gracing us with your presence.
That's
Such
right.
an honor.
Well, thank you.
Just to be here, because when you find ladies that are within your alignment of what you're trying to do, it's just natural.
Yes,
Yeah,
I agree. And we have to at some
natural.
point tell the story of how we met. But before we do that, can you explain what it means to be a relationship surgeon?
So here's the best way I explain to everybody. The reason that I came up with the name Your Relationship Surgeon is I use the analogy that when you go to your doctor or your GP, you go for just a regular checkup or you go for some minor ailments or issues or things. But when you have something serious going on, where do they send you? To the surgeon. So for me, my job is to not only get people to understand that in your personal life, there's a relationship. In your professional life, there's a relationship also. So I go to individuals and companies and we talk about the relationship part of their profitability. And so I pinpoint, I don't shy away from. If you need somebody that's going to make you feel good or warm and fuzzies, I'm not that one that you call.
Right.
I am the one that you call.
To the real
when
deal.
we have to get down to the dirty when you're ready.
Right.
I'm not abrasive about it. I'm not forceful about it, but I find the source.
Right.
A lot of times we coach on surface.
Right.
I coach to the core.
And I can really relate to that.
Yeah.
Being a doctor, being a surgeon.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of times, like if patients come to me, I have a lot of patients with pelvic pain problems, for example. And a lot of times they'll come to me with, they've already seen a pain specialist and they just give them narcotics. And I tell them the pain is your body's signal telling you that something is wrong. So my job, which is what it sounds like with your job, is to find the source.
Absolutely.
Once you find the source, the pain goes away.
The pain goes away.
Right.
And so my role with whether I'm consulting or coaching or mentoring or speaking or writing, my role in my, what I call my divinely appointed seed, is to make sure that I completely remove what's infecting your ability.
Right.
And that's what that surgeon does.
Well, awesome. And then I think briefly we even spoke about not just external relationships, but relationship with yourself.
Absolutely.
So that really resonated with me.
Absolutely. And that's where you start first. And a lot of times we and when I say we, I want to kind of coach my coaches.
Right.
A lot of times we get excited because we have a client, or we get excited because the company wants us to help them, and so we want to run through this process because we want to get to the end of it.
Right.
My role is not to rush through this because despite what 400 years ago people made us believe, your business and your personal life is always intertwined.
Right.
And so even when I sit in front of CEOs, when I sit in front of presidents, when I sit in front of owners, I have to find out who you are first.
Right.
Before I can resolve the infection and the issues in your business and in your company. And so we find the source. Your company is going to take on everything that you bring into the door.
Right.
So if you are uncertain, so goes your team.
Right.
If you have personal management issues with your personal life, then you're going to shift that even onto the experts that you have brought into your team.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they fall under the
follow the
realm
tone
of the leadership,
They
right?
follow the tone.
Right.
And I'm so glad you mentioned the word shift. And I'm going to always say this in every podcast. That's the whole purpose of Latina and I even coming up with this concept for this podcast was to shift minds on different levels, whether it's health, whether it's financial literacy, legacy building. You know, it's just a plethora of things. We first started off talking about mental health. So just applying that to the relationship with ourselves and to whatever we touch.
But can we be a little bit transparent about the word shift? Can we dig a little deeper with the word shift?
Let's dig.
Because a lot of people think that when I get that shift, I'm okay. Shift is a continual, perpetual, ongoing process throughout your entire journey of whatever you're trying to accomplish.
You never really get there. It's not an end.
Well, you get to that platform.
We talked about that.
You get to that platform.
But then there's some.
and
then you go
life
to the next
happens
one.
again.
Yes.
Right.
So then you have to. So I feel like that our role when we are helping people, our role is to teach evergreen tools,
Right.
so that when the next 1-2 punch hit, you're not set all the way back to where you started. You now have steps and processes because now you know what it looks like. So when I'm sinking back into self-doubt, when I'm sinking back into depression, when I feel like I'm self-sabotaging, come on somebody,
Right.
when I'm self-sabotaging my own success, you have now, and I have now given them the face of what that looks like.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so our tools can't eradicate it,
Right.
but what it can do is keep you from falling deep into it.
And,
Right.
yeah.
That goes into a conversation you and I had when we was talking about some of the things that we have to go through right now. Like
We just talked about it
we
today.
just talked about it today. And so she was sharing with me about some things and she's like, I almost feel like I had to be in this place and able to elevate and grow. And I said, absolutely. I said, because what happens is you had to do that for that particular growth, but it's preparing you for the next level.
Absolutely.
Because every level there's a test.
Absolutely.
And before you take the test, you have to study and you have to prepare.
Right.
And so everything that we're doing right now, it's to help us with the level up. But he gonna keep you there until you're ready to take that test.
Come on now. Like I like martial arts because you earn a belt and the color tells your level.
It represents the
So
level.
once I achieve this belt, the only thing that happens in the shift of the belt is it becomes another color. I don't go back.
Right, right.
Like now that I've passed this test,
I've covered that ground.
I've covered those grounds.
Yeah.
And so now I level up into a new challenge in order for me to get a new belt.
Right.
Now some of those new challenges look kind of like some of those old challenges.
Yeah.
The same moves, the same stance, the same posture. And so in life, especially in business, a lot of times we get upset because we have setbacks. But setbacks is just a part of your recovery process.
Yeah.
Because you can't recover if you've never had a setback.
Right.
Right.
So once you reach a certain level, because I'd rather have a setback as a thousandaire. Y'all know y'all. Some of us is thousandaires.
Not as a million.
As a thousandaire. I'd rather have a setback as a thousandaire than for me to get to the millionaire and the billionaire and I lose it all because it's harder for me to get back to that level.
Right.
Yeah.
So the way that you successfully go through these shifts is you pick the lesson from it and don't dwell.
So for me, just learning from our conversations and some of the pastors that I've been listening to lately, some of the sermons and motivational speakers, I think for me, I was so tunnel vision. My focus was to become a doctor, right? So you doing science camps, everything was that focus. And then when you get to that point, you're like, okay, I've achieved it. And then of course I know it's a blessing. I know everyone does not want to be a doctor. Everyone's not necessarily meant to be a doctor. But then you're like, okay, it's something else. So that's the stage that I'm in now. That's where this whole mind shift came of authenticity, vulnerability, because I did have issues with vulnerability, and I just want to be open so people can understand if you get that feeling to shift, that's okay. Yeah, it's okay to have a purpose for a season. We always talk about season, reason, lifetime. I'll always be a doctor, right? But I can use my skill set in a different capacity.
Absolutely.
And so that's why I like that we're starting this and we're having conversations with individuals like you. And I want to focus on relationship with yourself. Let's talk about that.
Do you find that people have an imagery of what they think your life is?
Absolutely.
So when you go through, so it's and the reason I ask that, because we're talking about personal growth and shifts in our life. So sometimes it's hard for us to find safe spaces to be vulnerable, because in your career and in your external life, sometimes it's not safe for you to let all your vulnerability out. Especially as a woman, as a woman of color. When you reach a certain level, there's a certain dexterity that society has put us in.
Do I need to put my feet up on the couch? Are you giving me a session? Let me just switch positions.
I'm just saying.
Switch positions, because that is, you are speaking my life right now.
Absolutely.
Even the other day, recently, in a certain situation where I am going through a spiritual growth, a personal growth, and some things were occurring in a certain environment that I was in, and I'm seeing my growth every single solitary day. I really am. I'm in a whole different mental space, spiritual space, and someone made a comment and said, well, they didn't use these exact words, but basically like I'm different, right? So I'm thinking to myself, I'm still cordial, right? It's not much that's changed with our interaction. Like what is it? Like, just because I didn't come in and I'm all over the place, hey, how y'all doing? I'm thinking about stuff. I have stuff, like, strong people have problems. And it's okay to admit that. But you're right. In the past, I would hide that. I would hide it because I didn't want to be vulnerable. I'm in a male-dominated, white male-dominated field, being a surgeon, right? And to me, showing that vulnerability equaled weakness. But actually, vulnerability is strength.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm learning. That's what I've learned over the past year or half. It's
so much more power.
It's more power in being vulnerable, and you're able to grow more.
So I'm going to release something for your audience, because no one else knows about this. So I have a book that I'm releasing. It is titled, I Am Bigger Than My Resume.
Wow.
Now I'm going to tell you why I started this, because this was Michelle's growth of her growth process. Coming up, and we had this conversation about the degree. So coming up in my career, I've always been in leadership. I've been in a leadership position since I was 19. But there was a moment there that, because of my husband's career, I didn't have careers. I had a job. I had to move a lot. When I was a single mom, I was a single mom with 3 kids. I had to keep the lights on. So she had a job where everybody else might have had a straight path. It wasn't cute. It wasn't even cute at all. So I was embarrassed about my resume. And so that stuck with me. And so I walked in my space differently. I carried myself differently. I approached things differently because I already had the insecurity within me that I wasn't good enough because I didn't have a piece of paper. On my journeys, what I found profound was I started talking to women that had degrees or that were presidents of companies that own their own company. And what they would say to me was they were so taken aback of how many people would look at them and go, so why you want to write a book when you got a good job?
Right.
Or your husband got a good job. Why are you over here trying to do this? Or why are you going back to school or whatever? And it dawned on me that we all, as human beings, have something that makes us feel like that we can't be vulnerable.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I wrote this book because it gives tools to help the degree, the non-degree, the professionals, the non-professionals, the millionaires to the pensionaires and whoever. It gives tools so that you can begin to find the source of the fear. Because fear, people think that fear is a emotion. Fear is not an emotion.
It's a result of trauma?
It actually is. It is where your amygdala has retained.
Yeah.
Your lymphatic
What's the
system.
word?
Amygdala. It's the part of the brain.
Your amygdala has retained in your lymphatic, in your limbic system. Something has triggered a bad feeling. So it holds it as a fear memory. It's literally called a fear memory. And so when something
Just
else,
like Inside Out. Have you seen Inside Out, the movie? Your girls are older, so you may not have.
Yes.
Isn't that?
Yes.
It's for
so
adults.
when something that doesn't even have to look like it, smell like it, touch like it, if it gives you the same feeling, here's what your body does. It sends a signal to your nervous system for it could go into fight or flight. So you begin to sweat, you begin to stress. The adrenaline starts to build up because your body is prepared to protect you. Now it could be an imagination, but because that fear memory has been imprinted in your nervous system, until you replace that fear memory with a new memory, your body will always react the same.
Okay, so let me ask you this. We did talk about degrees earlier, right? And I feel like, so I keep pressing pause on my PhD. I'll go, I'll stress, I'll cry, and I'll press pause, right? I had to, me and LaSonya spoke, and I'm like, I had to have a conversation with myself, like, what the hell am I getting this for? Is it just so I could be called doctor? Because then, guess what? Let me save myself some money. I don't need that title. I'm good. But when I thought about it, I was like, it's because of my profession. It's because
Validation.
Validation. It's because I feel like they're not going to give me a seat at the table. Let me learn how to build my own damn table and chairs.
But do you know that's why you're not finishing it too?
That's why I'm not finishing.
That's why you're not, because the inner woman, the real woman that's in you that fought and struggled to get where you are, there's a resistance inside of you that's saying, why am I trying to prove myself? Because I am good enough.
Right.
So it won't let you go get this additional degree because it needs you to tell yourself.
But even with the not being good enough, it actually came from my peers.
Absolutely.
It didn't come from the professional world.
No.
My peers made me feel like she didn't deserve that. She only got it because she light skinned. She didn't deserve that. She only got it because blah, blah, blah. Like, you get what I'm saying? So I always wanted to be extremely smart and educated before me, and I'm doing research because I'm going to hit my points. And I'm going to let you know I'm in business. I don't play, so I always have to, I don't play about my business, because when I go in there, you go, no, I'm far from a diamond. You cannot do that to me. But it wasn't from a good place, though. It was all
to
from
prove
fear,
something.
to prove it.
Yeah.
There you go. Just because I can.
Right.
Yes.
And I don't want to
Just to have
my
like
business because that's
10 cents on that. Having accomplished, so being accomplished doesn't always mean you're gonna have a seat at the table.
Absolutely.
So, and that's the thing. Like I
might not even want to go.
No, and that's honestly,
be at
we're
the
gonna
table.
keep talking. This is the mind shift I'm talking about. I'm not against education. Obviously, I'm a doctor, but I think that we're at a place that we can that this generation especially is realizing that there are alternate ways to accomplish what needs to be accomplished.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that you can create your own success. Like, who are you? Like, I honestly, guys, I make a concerted effort to kind of go against the grain a little bit because I want to make sure I don't lose my identity, right? So I'm the same person at work that I am at home.
Right.
I refuse to not be that way. Now, does that cause friction?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Does it cause me to not be able to sit at a lot of tables? Absolutely. But I didn't go to medical school to sit at tables. I went to medical school to take care of patients.
Right.
And when you are relatable, whether you're a relationship expert, whether you're a life coach, whether you're a surgeon, when you're relatable, because we're all of the professions, we're in a professions of service.
Right.
And people have to be vulnerable to us
Right.
in order for us to help them.
Absolutely.
Right? And so I've learned, just going through that process, irrespective of your paper, there has to be this inner thing in you where you feel comfortable with yourself to know, yes, I'm good enough. And when it comes to my profession, I know I'm good enough. I know I'm great.
But you're not.
You understand
But it
what I'm
doesn't
saying?
start with us, though. We got to address the great big pink elephant in the room. Where did all this come from?
Trauma. Where it
Long
come
before
from?
the trauma. Society has depicted to us what a professional looks like, how a professional dresses, how a
Oh, yeah.
professional speaks,
Yeah.
what your role
Yes.
is supposed to look like, from the advertising back to the magazines, back to
Yes.
the commercials. So even as you are going through your growth period,
Yes.
what we do is we picture ourselves and put ourselves up against the Vogue imagery
Yes.
that the world done put out there.
Yeah.
And so we don't fit. And so what we do is we approach it in two different ways. We either become completely badass rebellious
Right.
or we become conformed.
I refuse to do that.
Our job is to teach the middle.
Right.
Correct.
And that's what we're doing with having that. That's when it comes. Finally, then it gets to you. But what we have to get rid of is all of the imagery that our kids and my grandkids
Right.
and your grandkids and future grandkids are seeing. What does that look like?
Right.
Why do we come up in the mindset that, like, I'm all but 5 foot nothing. Everybody in the house but the cat is taller than me. So, but I'm still the mother of the house, right? But for a minute there, when my kids started getting bigger and taller than me, my thought of, oh, I'm short, came out.
Really?
Absolutely. It's the funniest thing. If you can ask anybody around me, I'm clueless about the fact that I'm short. I'm never even know that I'm short until I get around somebody tall. And then I know, because I just have a different presence about me. I never paid attention to it.
Right.
And it wasn't until other people started pointing out,
Saying that you were short?
saying I was short, that it became a conscious thing for me.
Right.
Growing up, didn't matter what my height was. I
Right.
came in the room, I did what I needed to do, I said what I needed to do, and I was out. I was good with
Right.
it. It wasn't until I got older
Until
that people
people
kept
start-
pointing out, wow, you're so short.
Right.
Then I was like, wow, I'm short.
you
Now
start
I'm the
thinking
same.
about
I've been with
stuff.
the same body my whole life. But that's because someone has now given me an imagery. And you
So-
with the PhD, you with the doctor.
This is crazy. Right. So the sermon that you told me about today is talking about cuff to contamination. And
Yes.
they talked exactly about planting those seeds.
Plant and
It
those
did.
seeds. That's exactly
Yes,
what they
it
do.
did
Yeah,
talk
I told
about
her
that.
about the sermon from yesterday at church, and I'm like, and it sometimes it's intentional, and sometimes it's not.
It's not.
They don't even know what
They
they're
don't,
speaking
because they're
on
only
you.
talking about from what they've been told.
Right.
Yes.
What they've been told. I tell people, my 6th grade teacher asked us to write an English paper about what we wanted to be when we grew up. And so I went and wrote what I saw in my vision as a young child, what I saw myself doing. And the only role that I knew was the one I wrote about. And I stood in front of class and I was like, "Hi, my name is Michelle Spears, and I want to be the president of the United States." And my teacher jumped up, she grabbed my paper, she wrote a big F across it, and she made me sit down.
Really?
Now, let me get this to context. My teacher was a Black woman. And at the end of class, I went to her and I said, "What did I do wrong?" She said, "You didn't take the assignment seriously." I said, "But I did." Oh my gosh. But I did. There were 2 rules to the assignment. It had to be a real job. And we had to write, how would we get that job? And y'all, I wrote this beautiful paper.
Right.
And she said, "You didn't take the assignment seriously." And I said, "But I did." She said, "Young lady, in my lifetime and in your lifetime, you will never see a Black president. And in my lifetime and in your lifetime and 5 more lifetimes, you'll never see a Black woman president."
Wow.
And that hit me. That stuck with me.
Right.
That for some reason, what I saw in my vision, what God gave me the skills to tell me that I could be invincible to do whatever.
Right.
Now here's a woman that looks like me.
Just putting doubt.
And she didn't mean it for harm. She meant it to try to tell me to not put myself
She
in a
wanted you to
position
be more realistic.
realistic, and I wouldn't be
to
let
protect
down.
you, it seems like.
Because that's how she was taught.
Yes.
So we also have to be careful when we are passing information on, and especially when we're in a position of coaching people. You have to be neutral in your advice, because if you're not healed yourself, you will coach from a place of pain.
That's what
And
the first day we met. That's what I told her how awesome you are. And that's what she said. I need more people on my team who are like that.
Yeah.
And I say all the time, often, I make it a practice of saying this is in my prayer. I say, I ask God to help me not bleed on people that didn't cut me. Because that is so important to me.
Absolutely.
Because we just react.
Absolutely.
Right.
And so now I'm learning to not react, press pause. Let me have a conversation. It's like, okay, Jesus, I need to have this conversation because I don't know how to take it. I think they meant this, but I'm not sure. Because you know me, I'll be like, and you know what I mean? So I really have to have those conversations to keep me, in alignment for myself, for my peace, for my practice. I don't never want to put my stuff on somebody else ever. And as long as we're breathing, we're all on this journey. We're all on a journey. And so things are going to change and shift and whatever. But being neutral helps keep you grounded. And it helps you not put your stuff.
Wait till you coach somebody that doesn't like you. Wait till you have someone that sits in front of you.
Right.
That doesn't like your color, doesn't like your gender, doesn't like any.
Very interesting that you said that.
See, because I'm not there yet.
No, it's very interesting.
I'm like, I don't think I like your money. They say all money ain't good money. Bye.
No, but it's so interesting that you said that, because I have patients. I don't know if they necessarily don't like me.
Right.
But I have patients that have complaints about certain things, but they keep coming back.
They keep coming back.
And so that's always puzzled me. Like, if you have a certain gripe about something,
You know why?
why do you keep coming back?
Because you never gave them what they expected you to give. You didn't step into the imagery that they were taught. Listen, Earth, Wind, and Fire. What is it? The child is born, the heart of gold, weight of the world.
Yeah.
Nobody's born racist. Nobody's born hating people. This is a self-taught method.
Yeah.
And so when you sit in a space, and as you grow in your coaching and your speaking and what you're doing, you're going to be in spaces and rooms of people that just before you walked on stage said some foul things about your whole people. But your job, our assignment, is to go in and not give them what they expect, but to go show them what they didn't know.
Right.
So the textbooks can write history how they want it.
Right.
Music, movies, shows can depict you how they want to.
Right.
Yeah.
But you are in charge of your own image.
Right.
Yes.
So if you choose to behave in the manner that they expect you to, then you can't be mad about it.
Right.
That's your choice. We all have choice. Out of all of the mammals that was put on this earth, we are the only ones that was given the option of choice.
Yeah.
And so that gives us a higher thought process.
Right.
And so I choose not to entertain someone else's microaggression, biases, or whatever. When I was younger, I thought that made me weak. I had to pray about that.
What do you mean? When you didn't respond to it?
Thought it made me weak. Thought people were taking advantage of me.
Yeah.
Well, if you respond, that's really they have control.
But that wasn't how I was raised. You
Neither was. I mean,
check,
right? This is something that I'm learning over time.
You check that. You check. You don't let nobody talk to you any kind of way or whatever. But for some reason, I couldn't. Like God wouldn't even let me get in that space, like react to that way. Even in my relationships, my personal relationships became abusive, and for me, it was I'm just a pushover. Well, what I had to learn was there's a power in the patience. There's a strength in the knowing of who you are.
And not responding.
And not responding. Because you can't get that from me.
Yeah. You know, was it you I was talking to? I think so when I told you I was looking up the word passive aggressive.
Yes.
So I analyze me all the time, right? Just trying to learn me and grow.
Right.
Be like, yeah, I don't think I like that about me.
Right.
Her. Whoever I am.
Whoever she is today.
And so somebody told me they thought I was a people pleaser, and then somebody else told me they thought I was passive aggressive. So I looked up the definition of passive, then I looked up the definition of aggressive,
And I put it together.
and then passive aggressive is a word, and so I looked up passive aggressive, and I was on the phone with her. I was like, yeah, they got that wrong. They got that all the way wrong.
I'm pretty clear on what I'm saying.
Listen,
Very
have
good.
no issues with say. Now, I may say it in a way that you don't understand, but I'm going to definitely say something. I'm not going to just brush it off. I may turn the other cheek and say, you got me this time, but it won't be a next time, okay? Because what I said, I meant.
Right.
But I'm not cussing and I'm not coming at you or
That
whatever.
part. Because let me clarify. Now, my father had no sons. I was it. I was the only son he had. So I am not a pushover person whatsoever.
Right.
I remember when my first husband jumped on me, and I later told him at the divorce thing that I'm so glad that he's still breathing.
Like you have no idea what could have happened.
None.
Like you have no idea.
She's not that person. I control what I do and what I say and what you pull out of me. And so my kids needed me.
Right.
And because of his issue and his problem with his own temper, that doesn't mean that you're going to provoke me into changing who my kids see me to be. And so that's where I said it came with the question of, because I know what I'm capable of.
Right.
And so during these moments, I used to look back on it and be like, I should have reacted. Now that I'm past those moments, I see now the lesson that I had to learn from that. And that was because when you step on stages, when you go global into these audiences, if you don't have a Teflon layer to you, it'll eat you alive.
And even
Yeah,
so, what
I
I
can imagine.
realized is it comes with a little bit of, because the passive aggressive thing, I get what I know the aggression that they're talking about, right? Because it don't come out right away.
Right.
So I see where they say
Right.
passive, but I'm like, yeah, nah, that's not me.
Right.
But that aggressive part, how do I control it? So I had to look into, because I say I got 4 cheeks, these 2 and these 2. And so
Which one I'm going to give you?
I don't have a 5th one. So what you getting after that?
Right.
You get what I'm saying? And so for me, I had to learn on self-control and what that really means.
You just
So I
ask
have
yourself
so
if
I
they
have a
want it.
question, right? Because presentation, content can come from 2 different people that look 2 different ways. And it could be labeled as aggression versus confidence.
Right.
So let's just first talk about people that look like us, Black females, which we're always labeled as being aggressive when we're vocal.
Angry Black woman.
Yeah, the angry Black woman. So what can you say to the audience about, we're going back to that relationship to self, for them to feel comfortable in knowing I can advocate for myself, I can speak up for myself. Yes, I do understand that there are some things that you don't necessarily have to oppose or speak up about, like we talked about some of the microaggressions and, you know, other people potentially having control of you and your emotions. What do you say to the audience, or to some of the people, your audience and the audience here, how to differentiate and how to have discernment with which way to go
when you have to and when you don't have to?
Yes.
So last year, when I started the Exceptional Woman Tour, God gave it to me in 2 phases. Phase 1 of it, he gave me the title, backstory. My kids read the 7 Habits book, all of them, when they reach a certain age. And so it was time for the 17-year-old and the 19-year-old to read it. They act like it wasn't on the counter. They just kept passing it. And I've seen this book for years, but until last year, it didn't hit me. And so throughout a series of dreams, about 3 weeks, God gave me a title of the 8 qualities of the exceptional Black woman in business and entrepreneurship. So when I got the title, true transparency, I was like, well, Jesus, I know I ain't supposed to question you, but can I holler at you over here in the corner over here? Because like my audience is real mixed, Jesus, and I'm finally getting a few checks coming in here, Lord. And so do I really want to put this out here? Because what is this going to do with my audience? I had a real concern about that. And so he said, be obedient. I said, okay, I get that. But could you give just a few more sentences just on that, just to help me navigate this? Well, here's what I learned, what I figured out. The reason that I was able to put out the 8 qualities of the exceptional Black woman and not lose not one shade of anybody from it is because my message is consistent.
Yes.
So here's the 8 qualities. It is advocate, authentic, faithful, fierce, influential, resilient, strong, and versatile. So what I tell women is you don't have to have all 8 qualities, but what you can do is do a mixture of all of these. Most of these words have 2 meanings to it. Advocate is not only a noun, but it's a verb.
Yeah.
So in wherever you sit, you decide on whether the noun needs to come up or the verb. Is this an actionable item? And there are times that you have to be in action. But the way that you evaluate how you manage that is you determine what outcome you want. So if you don't care about how this blows back on maybe your entrepreneurship or your finances or what you're trying to do, you can put the verb out there and you can clown on everybody and do whatever you want to do. No harm, no foul, because you lost the game when you let it go.
Right.
But if you know that the person that is trying to poke you and bring this source out of you is because they don't want you to reach the new level, you know how much pride it is with the fact when you can overcome what somebody else has set up for you?
Right.
That's the noun.
Yeah.
That means you are very clear and concise about what you're saying about yourself.
Right.
You don't back down what you expect. You don't take anybody's stuff. You walk in the door, you lay down the rules, you let them know. I'm a very clear communicator. And most of the time, most people are blown away when business for me is business. I tell people all the time, take your feelings out of it.
Right.
So
see, I'm still trying to juggle with that play the game. Because see, that's never settled with me.
Don't play the game.
No, I can't do it. It's not in my nature. But the thing about like this came to me during the pandemic when it first started.
Right.
Where it's like everyone's saying play the game, play the game. How can you play a game and win a game that somebody else made? Because they can always change the rules.
Right.
So why would you waste your time trying to play a game that you know?
That's why I don't use the phrase play the game. I ain't never told my kids to play the game or anything.
So what would you say? What would you use?
What's your end game? If it's a job, like my son is a chef. And so in the culinary field, most of the time he's the only Black chef at his level. Yeah. And so he gets tested all the time. Okay. So I ask him all the time, what's your end game? I mean, if this the job, the last job or whatever, go in there and swing a pot at somebody and throw a knife at somebody and be done with it. I mean, you'll get fired and whatever. But then you get out your system. But if you want to own your own restaurant, then the behaviors that you deplete right now will follow you into where you want to go with your success. It's not about playing the game, because you don't let nobody play you. I don't let nobody test me, and I don't let nobody play me. Everybody who comes into my space, I don't have any problem letting you know who I am and whose I am and what I do.
Right.
But there are times where I have to know whether that energy is warranted.
Worth it. Yeah. It's even worth it. Makes sense. Because you just saying that honestly, it does make sense. When you have your own
you got your own agenda, and that's what
even with myself realizing what I want to do next, it's become different. Right. Is it worth it?
Are they worth it?
Or am I here to change a characteristic or learn something new to take to the next phase? Because playing the game has never ever been.
Listen, my parents will tell you, like, I didn't do anything. Like, I wasn't the child that got in trouble. I got in trouble because of my mouth, because I had to negotiate. Even if I get the fact that you about to punish me, but we need to talk about, let me explain why I did what I did. Like, since birth, that's always been me. I need to understand, and I need to be able to have an explanation. If you don't give me a clear explanation, I don't let up until you do that. My mouth has always been like that. But when I got into corporate America, like, I done had seats at tables I know I wasn't supposed to have, but they brought me in there because of how I carried myself. I didn't play the game. I walked in the door every day, in everything that you do. You know that you walk in the door with not only what you know, but know everything that everybody at the table knows too. So you want to make sure that you carry yourself according to your game. Nobody else is worth that. Not a spouse, not a kid, not anybody. Nobody's worth you shifting who you are.
Right.
Who you were born to be. And that's why I call it my divinely appointed assignment. That's not my husband's assignment. That's not my kid's assignment. It's mine.
That's
so yours. I don't know if it's possible to do this, but is there a way you can sum up some pointers for our audience about how to implement or even start exploring how relationship affect everything they do, even the way they love themselves, the goals that they set for themselves, even when you step out to entrepreneurship or business, whatever you want to do? Can you kind of sum up, just give us a pearl?
Love yourself first. The money, no fame, no business, nothing will come until you can walk in your own shoes. So that takes discovery, that takes pain, because you not only have to look at yourself in the mirror, you got to look into the mirror, because a lot of us just want to see the surface of it. But if you want to get and achieve whatever goal that you got to Teflon up yourself. And the best way to do that is you can't have nobody else. Nobody else is going to poke holes into Michelle Thomas's story but me. I tells it all. I don't have a problem. You can come up out the woodwork in my life or whatever. I don't shy away from it. I own every piece of dirt, everything that I do, because I made peace with it. I don't.
So how would you say I would ask Tina as well, being life coaches, how do you feel like that would play into helping people discover or become vulnerable enough to even, identify with some of this trauma,
I'll say
whatever?
this. People are always taking notice, right? They know when you faking, and they know when you're transparent, telling the truth, you're authentic and organic, right? And so when you are working on you and you're living your truth and you're transparent about it, even if they don't say nothing to you, they're watching and they're looking. And so when they get the opportunity to have that conversation with you, they're going to listen. They're going to listen to what you have to say because they've been watching you. They've been paying attention. And so if she said, I should have faith and, I need to tap into this and, this is untapped and don't let them put their stuff on me, then I might want to listen to her. Because I see, even though they don't know all of the rocks that was thrown on the road in our journey,
right?
They know we have one.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we have a responsibility to ourselves. And when we have that responsibility to ourselves, when we're doing everything in divine order, you don't have to try so hard to reach people. You don't have to do any of that stuff. They're going to come to you. And when they come to you, somebody come to you, that's why I don't call my patients. We have time, I have them call me.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Because if they call me, I know they're ready to work.
You're ready.
So you're saying you just put your content out there like we're doing now.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's how we connected, because it
That's
was
exactly
at a
how we
certain point
connected.
in
Yeah.
time where it was just like, okay, I don't know which direction to go.
Right.
And referencing back to what you were saying about the exterior of people who do have professional status, or on the outside looking in, oh, she has it all together. She has the family. And of course, I'm very blessed. I'm not going to take that away from anything. But irrespective of that, you still have life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You still have life. And there was a point in time a couple years ago where it started to get amplified, where I realized, I don't know how to maneuver out of this. Like, I'm a fixer, right? Innately and also professionally. That's what I'm going to do. But I don't know how to fix this. So what you're trying to say is that for those who are at that point, they will start seeking information.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Then you was looking. You was on.
I was
you,
already
you
looking.
Was,
But
you was looking.
you got to be a student of yourself. Because let me be very transparent. I don't care how many titles or degrees or anything that anybody has. There is not a person that walks this earth that doesn't have setbacks and doubt.
Right.
Period.
I come off stage and go, well, how did that go? What is that? We all need that support and that validation. The best thing that you can do as you are going through the process of self-discovery and self-sealing, I don't call it healing. I call it self-sealing, because a wound heals.
Yeah.
Trauma needs to be sealed. You need to vault that away. So when you're going through that self-sealing, you also got to have that good person that when times is rough, 2-3 o'clock in the morning,
Right.
I can pick up that call, pick up that phone, and I can just cry it out. Because you also, in your process as a fixer, you gotta replenish. And if you don't replenish, your cup runs empty, and then you become vulnerable to everyone else's opinion about who you are. So she can say something to you that will shake you because you haven't replenished yourself. I can say something to you that can shake you.
Right.
You can talk to 6, 7, 8, 12 figure people, and if they not continuing to replenish themselves, that's what millionaires and these successful entrepreneurs, they ain't on social media, they ain't watching TV. They are spending time pouring back into themselves. They're resting,
And it's
they're getting their
very-
health together.
it's
That's the
very
other thing that
necessary.
as women, especially as Black women, we got to get healthy.
Yeah.
Your body will shift your mind.
Yeah, that whole mind, body,
Ooh.
and soul thing. So we want to thank you so much,
I know.
Dr. Michelle.
I'm so honored.
And thank you for being like one of the dopest mentors. Like you're global, because I'm new to this. And your season is so dope to be around a seasoned person that actually know what they talking about and have that saying, you ain't doing it with your boobs all propped up trying to be on the red carpets and private jets. You doing this to really help and change, lives. We appreciate you.
Absolutely.
And tell our audience how they can reach out to you if they have questions or want to use your services.
So everyone can always find me on my website. It is Michelle S. as in Sam, Thomas.com, or you can find me at theexceptionalwomannetwork.com. Everything that I'm doing all across social media, it is at Your Relationship Surgeon. So reach out, have your questions. I'm not that person that's going to nickel and dime you. My assignment is to help. So reach out, connect, let me know what you need so we can go and grow together.
Well, Doc, we definitely have to have you come back. It seemed like it's only been 5 minutes that we've been talking. We still haven't even scratched the surface about entrepreneurship. I love the fact that we started with relationship with yourself, because in order to go to the next step, then that's where it has to start.
Yeah, I hope you like your seat. Get comfortable, because you're
Exactly.
going to be a regular. You're going to be a regular.
She's sporting the ShyftU t-shirt,
Got on that
guys.
ShyftU shirt.
And now we're out. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Fresh from